Chad Hasty Show, News Talk KFYO. Thank you very much for tuning in this morning. We go to the phones. Time to visit with Republican strategist Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you today?
Doing great, Chad. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. It was a late night, an interesting night for those of us who are watching the Iowa caucuses. I'll just ask you, Matt, what happened with the Democrats last night?
Well, we don't really know. Everybody's everybody's waiting for any kind of explanation or information from the Iowa Democratic Party. I mean, it's pretty stunning as we sit here, more than 12 hours after the caucuses began, that no one really knows what happened. They're saying it's a voting issue related to the app that they were using to upload and report results from the nearly 1,700 caucus locations. They put a statement out just a little bit ago saying that the app was receiving all the information, but when it was reporting that information out, it was only partially reporting it. This is pretty stunning. I mean, vote tabulations from 1,700 locations totaling, 180,000 votes or something. That's not a major data project. I mean, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. You could do that on Google Sheets. Basically, you could use a messaging platform. You could use, there's so many easy ways to do this. Yeah, I think the Iowa Democratic Party has a real problem, and of course, the caucuses were already being criticized by Democrats for not representing the country, not representing Democratic Party voters, being too white. And of course, the caucuses themselves have a very complicated process to begin with. The Democrats have this really goofy process where you can vote unaligned on the first ballot and then vote for a viable candidate on the second ballot. We don't have that on the Republican side. There's one ballot, you vote, you're done. They were a very different electorate. You have two Democratic leading candidates that are from neighboring states, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. So, yeah, this is going to be a different race for sure.
If you're Buttigieg, this probably hurts you the most because of what you just said, that it looked like he was going to finish in second place last night.
No doubt.
If you're the Biden campaign, you've got to be very happy that at least there's no bad news about you today. But is there a way for Buttigieg to recapture that moving forward, or is it going to be dead now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it depends on, if the results come out today, if they are credible, can he rebuild some of that momentum that he would have had? Remains to be seen. I just think, the eyes of the country were tuned in last night to these results, and you're not going to have that kind of rallying moment. But, look, to Buttigieg, I think from a strategy standpoint, he had a chance to totally supplant Biden last night as the sort of mainstream Democratic frontrunner, the real threat to stop Bernie. He could have really coalesced support behind him last night. He still may over the next week, if the numbers are really decisive. But I imagine second and third place are going to end up being pretty close. Yeah. And what's clear is that no one's dropping out after Iowa. And that, I think, never happened on either side of the aisle before. Everyone that was on the ballot in Iowa last night that was running a real campaign, including Andrew Yang, including even Tom Steyer, certainly Amy Klobuchar, all those candidates are going forward. So now you've got 6 or 7 choices on the ballot in New Hampshire. You could add Debacle Patrick, the former governor of Massachusetts, who's running up there. You could add Michael Bennet, the senator from Colorado. I mean, that's 9 choices of people who are running actual real campaigns in New Hampshire. So you ask a good question. No, Buttigieg is never going to be able to regain the momentum he should have gotten last night. I saw on Twitter the Democratic campaign spent $70 million on television in Iowa, and they got nothing out of it. No benefit whatsoever. I mean, it's really a scandal.
Wow, unbelievable. Let's take a look at tonight. Tonight we have a State of the Union address. Everything's kind of gotten put together here, and it's all lost. But there is a State of the Union address, and this is going to be, this is going to be very interesting to watch and see how the president approaches tonight's State of the Union address, correct?
Yeah, State of the Union tonight, Senate acquittal on the trial tomorrow, and there's another Democratic debate on Friday night in New Hampshire on ABC and a number of the networks. Look, I mean, if you ask me, what do I think he needs to do tonight? Number one, and this is going to be really hard, he's going to have to be disciplined, but I would totally ignore impeachment. His valedictory is tomorrow when he gets acquitted, presumably with at least one Democratic vote and perhaps as many as 3 Democratic votes. That's when he can take a victory lap, not tonight. Tonight, the eyes of the nation, tens of millions of Americans will be tuned in. To me, it's the implicit contrast between this childish games the Democrats are playing and the real things Trump's doing for the country. He's had a really incredible couple of weeks. In fact, I just saw Gallup had him at 49% job approval, highest in the history of their poll with him. If you look at, signing the U.S., Mexico, Canada agreement, China signing phase 1 of their trade deal, announcing the Middle East peace plan, the economy remaining strong. I mean, there's so many things he's doing, taking out the top al-Qaeda leader in Yemen. So to me, I think it's about, number one, going through the record, making clear that the direction the country's going is very strong. But then number two, I think he ought to talk to the Democrats that are there and say, listen, we have an opportunity to accomplish real things for the country over the next year. We can pass prescription drug legislation. We can pass an infrastructure bill. We can pass a highway bill. But we need to work together to do that. I mean, I think that's the opportunity. And so the contrast between, the silliness the Democrats are exhibiting and the seriousness and the substance and the accomplishments the president is focused on, I think that there's a real benefit there if he can be disciplined. He's been disciplined in the State of the Union the first 3 times he's given it. I hope he stays disciplined tonight as well.
Do you think one of my favorite? I think it was the last State of the Union address when he said socialism will never be allowed to basically take root in America.
Yeah.
If you view Bernie as the front runner and Bernie as maybe the guy who's going to get the nomination, do you think Trump goes there again and reiterates that point about socialism?
Yeah, that was really one of the high points of his State of the Union speeches. And remember, that was interesting because it put Democrats in this awkward position. Do they defend socialism or not? I mean, a lot of them just sort of sat on their hands. Bernie Sanders announced he's not attending the State of the Union tonight. He's not protesting. He's going to be campaigning in New Hampshire. So you're not going to have the television moment where he says something like that and then the cameras look to Bernie and they look to his reaction. So that made-for-TV moment won't be there. Sure, I think another thing he should do in the speech is again, make the case for capitalism, particularly in free markets, particularly versus a socialist type of approach the Democrats are exhibiting. So yeah, I think that opportunity is definitely there. I hope he does it again. I think it's important. People who support these social policies don't understand the record of socialism around the world. And we talk about Venezuela a lot. That's really not what the Democrats are proposing. They're proposing sort of the first stages of moving towards government control of industry along the lines of what you eventually get to in a place like Venezuela. But you can look at lots of other examples, certainly in Europe, as a better comparison. So yeah, I hope he does that tonight. He's got a lot to do tonight, over an hour, and he's going to have the attention of the country on him. It's a moment that he can rise to if he remains disciplined, and I think he will, and I hope he will. Yeah,
absolutely. Matt, tell folks what they can find and sign up on your newsletter, and then also tell folks about your podcast.
Yeah, the newsletter is called Must Read Texas. We take all the top news from around the state, put it in one clean, easy-to-read email, and deliver it to over 3,000 Texans. Their inboxes every weekday morning by 9 a.m. You can sign up for a free one-week trial at mustreadtexas.com. The podcast is called Mac on Politics. Most recent episode was a preview of the Iowa caucuses, which I guess is now probably not very valuable. But we post episodes every single week.
Hey, they're not over, Matt.
That's right. They're not over. But yes, you can learn more about the caucuses on that episode, but certainly we post episodes every week. You can check it out. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Very nice, Matt. Appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Chad. Have a great week.
You too. That's Matt Mackowiak here on the Chad Hasty Show.